Hey, what's up, guys? It's time to talk about Stranger Things 2, or Season 2, whatever you prefer to call it. So fair warning for those of you who haven't seen Season 1 yet, this video will have some spoilers there, but I'll do my best to not give away too much about this one. So I'm one of those fans who really got into the show before all the hype about it really kind of came out. Going into this season, I tried my best to avoid that as much as possible and have the most moderate amount of expectations that I could. Pretty much the big thing for me that I didn't really want to know about, but was pretty much spoiled very early on by the early trailers at the Super Bowl and as well as the poster, if you saw my thumbnail, is the fact that 11 is still alive. Sorry for those of you that didn't want to know that, but I feel like at this point you can't really avoid it unless you absolutely are a master of avoiding everything that is the internet. I was very excited to see how they handled that situation and how they were going to bring her back. And I will say I was a little surprised how they did it. I was expecting something to be a little bit more epic and maybe it was going to take off in a direction really close to the end of the first season. However, what we get is a whole year later and these kids have clearly aged quite a bit, which I think makes the most sense for the direction they wanted to take. It would have been kind of weird if things just ended very close to how it was at the end of the first season and all of a sudden these kids just looked that much older. So while I was slightly let down by the way that she was brought back into the picture, I love the dynamic of the person that she gets to spend a lot of time with this season. For those who know, those two characters are some of my favorites in the show and I was very excited to see them get some well-deserved screen time together. And I really love the direction they took Eleven's character. I was so happy that we got to see that much more connection to her and backstory. There's even a standalone episode later in the season that mostly focuses on her, and I won't give away too much about that itself, just know that it will be there. And I really enjoy that. Some people maybe were kind of thrown off by it, not a fan, but I actually thought it was really great and a nice sort of transition from what we would normally expect out of Stranger Things. I also really enjoyed all the new additions and characters that were brought on this season. Going back to our little D&D party of friends here that we got with Mike Wheeler, Dustin Henderson, Will Byers, and of course Lucas Sinclair, I loved the addition of a new character, Maxine, or Max. This brought about a very interesting transition into their lives, where they were all starting to become a little bit older and maybe a little bit more interested in girls. I like that it kind of threw off their synergy and forced them to kind of discuss things away from her, like, oh, we can't tell you because you're not in our party. Plus, I was really happy we got that much more Will this season. We didn't see a whole lot of him in season 1, obviously because of the circumstances he was going through. And that little tease that we saw at the very end of season 1 was definitely an indication of what we were going to see here, which was that he still has some problems going on. I thought Noah Schnapp did a great job in developing his character more, and he just really gave this fantastic performance and very interesting depth of character that he had to portray later on. And of course, Gaten Matarazzo as Dustin has got his teeth now, which he loves to show off, which made for a lot of great comic relief. I also really enjoyed how they included Lucas a lot more into the storyline and gave him less of a conflicting character, but just more of a sympathetic and more understanding character. Then of course, we can't forget the slightly older kids of Nancy Wheeler, Jonathan Byers, and Steve Harrington. I really enjoyed how this situation developed. I was like, oh, it's just gonna be some weird love triangle situation, and yeah, it is a love triangle situation. The way it escalated was very quickly early on, and I really like how they went about deciding what these characters were going to do. And if Steve surprised you in the first season like he pretty much surprised everybody, oh man, this season he's back at it again and he's just killing it with his hair and, you know, his bat, all that stuff. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters as he was near the end of the last season, and I'm very surprised because I would never expect some guy who even remotely resembled a bully at one time to even become this sort of figure. Oh, and I love Sean Astin, aka Samwise Gamgee from The Lord of the Rings. He played Bob Newby in this, and he was just so much fun, brought such great energy to the show. As soon as I saw him on screen, I was like, oh man, I love that guy, I'm so happy he's here. He has a really great little relationship with Joyce Byers, who also did a great job, Winona Ryder. It was also nice that they attributed Barbara's story a lot, because that was something a lot of fans had issues with the first season. Oh, and I guess I can't forget to mention Dacre Montgomery's performance as the new bully in town, Billy, who's the older stepbrother of Max. This guy did a great job at just making me hate him more and more pretty much every single scene. There's a few other characters I won't get into much because I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't really seen it yet but are going to soon. But as I said, Millie Bobby Brown is great this season as expected, and then we get to see a lot more of David Harbour as Jim Hopper. I like that this season included at least one extra episode, and some of them were a little bit longer, so it really gave us a full-fledged show that felt just the right length. I was glad that it didn't go too much longer than what they set out last year. I felt like the creatures and all the stuff with the Upside Down was much more fleshed out and a bit more on the intense side this time around, which I like to see. One of the best things about this season to me was how it also diverged in having a little bit more originality. Of course, there's plenty of 80s nostalgia and things that made up Stranger Things originally from the first season, but this one felt like they really honed in on what they wanted to tell and brought a lot more things that I wasn't expecting and going like, oh, that reminds me of this, blah, blah, blah. I was really surprised about that. They were also able to do a lot more with CGI, which I think helped a lot with this season. There was a lot more crazy and interesting shots and scenes and things that I was just like, whoa, okay, they really went there that time. Overall, I had a blast with this season of Stranger Things. I would say the first season is still slightly better in my book, but I'm very excited that they were able to do such a good job, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for season 3. Stranger Things 2 is a strong sequel season, able to dispel the hype and deliver another stellar story with more heart and originality, and that's why this season is a Dyligent pick. So guys, what did you think of Stranger Things 2? Are you still looking to watch it? Do you still have a couple episodes to go? Let me know what your thoughts are so far. How do you like how the characters have developed this season? Who are becoming your favorites? Who are you disliking a little bit? I want to know what your thoughts are for season 3 below as well. Let me know what you think. My name is Dylan, and if you love entertainment, subscribe to my channel while this video ends, and send me a thumbs up before you go. Thanks for watching, and stay diligent.